The wide receiver room has to get busy. Who steps up and leads the way? Coming this week against the Chargers. Welcome to Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We are brought to you by Game Time today. Check out the app Game Time. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for your first $20 off your first purchase. It's last-minute deals, lowest prices guaranteed. We have a great show for you. It is recording Monday night. Chargers are playing. They're the upcoming challenger for Chiefs next week. But some changes going on both in the offense and the defense. We're going to break it all down for you today. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, NFL33.com, and RGR Football. He's Chris Clark, the founder of Chiefs Corner. You can check him out as well. We have a great show for you here on the Locked On Podcast Network. What that means is that we are talking your team every day for every team in every league that you can think of, particularly the NFL. We're here on YouTube live tonight, where you can like, sub, and hit the bell. And you can find us on Spotify, find us on Apple, and every audio platform in the world, because we're free for you 5 days a week, all the time. If you want a little more information, you can get on the text line as well. That's 816-357-8781, and you can get in on the action. We are going to get to what comes up next in terms of Amenahue coming back, helping the defense out against these Chargers. We'll talk that later. The DBs have been the strength so far for the Kansas City Chiefs. And what do they face this week? But first, we're going to get to what's going on with the wide receiver group. Justin Watson hurt last week. Who steps up right now? For me, it is one person and one person only that I want to see fed the ball. And that is Rashod Rice, who I think has the ability to make everyone in Kansas City forget about Juju Smith-Schuster.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Although he's really not doing anything for New England. So I think the league has kind of forgotten about Juju Smith-Schuster at this point. Go look at what he's done so far. I think he's only got like 6 catches the entire season. It's not a good deal. And obviously he'd be getting a lot more play in Kansas City. I think he'd be getting a lot more passes thrown his way. I don't think it's all on him. Mac Jones is horrible, and I think they are the lowest scoring offense in football. So there's some of that. But there's a lot of truth about what you're saying about Rashod Rice. I would like to see him get more targets. I'd like to see him play more, but I honestly also want to see him on the outside more than see him on the inside. He has the ability to play both inside and out, but I think the next step for him is to play more outside and to go up again, play that extra wide receiver role and take on some of those responsibilities and leave the slot open for guys like Tony and guys like, Sky Moore. I think that they could be more productive that way.
Well, I agree with you. And the other thing that I like is I think Sky's kind of in the same situation. He can line up inside or out and be effective. And so I think that gives you a two-way go where you can mix and match and really play games with how you get your matchups. That, I think, is key for the rookie, maybe more so than it is Sky Moore, who, despite not being targeted as much, he is getting open and he is getting good routes. He is getting separation. I think he's just got a little bit better feel for breaking down zone defenses than he did last year. Sky certainly has a ways to go there, as does Rashid. They're both still very, very young. And so if you flip them around and get them in whatever you think is the most advantageous spot, I'd like to see that happen this week as well.
Well, and you look at the other player that should probably be out there with those two, and it should probably be Kadarius Toney. MVS really hasn't done much this season. Until they're going to start doing the deep ball, it doesn't look like this is going to be a season where MVS is going to take a step forward like we thought maybe he would this year, because it looked like Mahomes and him actually had some chemistry in the preseason. But it just doesn't look like that's affecting anything. Mahomes seems to be really shying away from just about everybody other than Travis Kelce and Rashod Rice and at times Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I think that's a natural evolution when you lose a lot of guys, but this may force something. MVS is capable of doing a lot of things that we've seen Justin Watson do. Before Justin Watson, he was the guy that would take some of those overs and try to stretch the field a little bit. I think they have to have that element in the offense. And so if he has to do that a little bit more because of his capabilities, that opens the door for more for Rice, more for Tony, that I think, again, has to be more directed at not like a true vertical attack. We all know that they're going to run 4 verts at least 4 times a game, but there's got to be some intermediary. It can't just be like the 5-yard drags and the behind the line of scrimmage stuff, Kels in the middle, and then the 4 verts. You got to mix and match it more. It feels like they've never really opened the playbook yet this season, and they're just playing with one hand tied behind their back.
Funny you mentioned that, because I actually said that exact same thing earlier today on Twitter. I don't think they've opened the playbook. You look at the games that they played, you look at who they played so far. I think Reed has looked at it, and other than obviously the loss where you're missing 2 of your best players, 2 of the best players at their position in the NFL, the next week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, maybe you saw it open up a little bit, but it didn't seem like it was that open. But the next 3 games, I don't really feel like Reed felt like that was going to be necessary to do. And especially against the Broncos on a short week, you're not going to have the normal prep time, and you're not going to have the normal install. You're going to try to do the best you can, but it's not going to be quite where you want it to be. You're probably not going to have as much on your play sheet. So it's going to be very intriguing to see where they are in 2 weeks when they go up against the Broncos, and see how that changes to see. And I'm really curious to see what they do against the Chargers, because I also think that this is a game that they've kind of been planning for. If you look at their schedule, the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Eagles, that's a series of games that you would probably plan for. After Aaron Rodgers went down, that Jets game lost a lot of luster, but they still played good in that game, and they could have put up 30 points if Mahomes goes in for a touchdown, but instead he decided, nope, I'll just win the game.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, and when you take a look at what they're facing as well, maybe they have been saving themselves for this, because this is the division rival. This is on paper, the team in the division that has the most talent to be able to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs right now. They've been able to put that together. We'll see what the conclusion is here on Monday Night Football. But when you take a look at who's targeted for them, both Asante Samuel Jr., who's been playing well as Michael Davis, who hasn't been, they've been targeted quite a bit. Davis more than Samuel, but they're both giving up just under 72% completion rate. That's, I think, a ripe target to go after. When you take a look at everything that they have to do to move the ball, there's going to be opportunity here, at least to complete passes. Do I want to see more yak? Absolutely. Do I want to see them actually take stabs downfield? Absolutely. But the bottom line is you're going to be able to throw the ball and make completions against this defense as it stands right now, and that's the key. Yeah,
and mix it up. I want to see – you talk about 4 verts. I want to see him throw 4 wide receivers out there with Travis Kelce and go for a couple of plays. It doesn't have to be something where it's a regular occurrence, but attack with your wide receivers, attack with your tight end. Maybe take the running back off the field for a couple of plays, see what you can get done, because I do think that the more you open up the offense and the more you go after the defense, I think that's going to help out.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, what are they going to do in reverse? Keenan Allen's still on this team. Justin Herbert is still Justin Herbert. They're going to attack the Chiefs secondary. What is that going to look like? Well, we're going to get you a look at that here coming up right after this. But first, a word from our pals that can help you out. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. All the things going on in media in the sports world, sometimes it just feels like your brain's getting away from you. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about, because sometimes it's just a never-ending cycle, and you need that help to get yourself sorted. There's plenty of things that can do that, and one of them is online therapy through BetterHelp. It's a great resource and helps you out get yourself sorted. It's very, very simple. It's the thing that you want to do is get connected with someone that can help you out, get your life under control, and kind of help you along with some of the issues that are always an obstacle. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try, because that's what it's there for. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and built around your schedule so that you can change that when you need to. You just fill out a brief questionnaire so that you can be matched with a licensed therapist. You get that therapist, you start sessions. If you don't like that particular therapist, you want to switch it up, you can do that at any time, no charge, free and simple, very, very quick. It's over at betterhelp.com/lockedon. Join that today and use our code LOCKEDON, and you can get that 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/lockedon, and the code is LOCKEDON.
One of the things that I've enjoyed every single year over the past couple of years is being able to use places like DoorDash. You show up on a Sunday and you want to go order some food. What do you want? Do you want wings? Do you want pizza? It doesn't really matter. There's lots of different things you can get with DoorDash. I actually just used it earlier tonight to get dinner because I was stuck working my day job. And so DoorDash delivered my dinner, and I was able to get done with that. And here I am on the podcast today, really enjoying having the ability to do that. And it was only a couple of dollars extra over what I would normally pay in the store. So that is fantastic as well. You need to check out DoorDash. If you've never used it, you can get groceries as well as food. Whether it's your favorite restaurant, stores, retail, and grocery, it doesn't really matter. DoorDash can get it for you. So you can get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order. When you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCKED23, subject to change, terms apply. That's 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more on your first order when you download the DoorDash app and enter code LOCKED23. Subject to change, terms do apply.
Terms always apply. And one term that I
Yes,
like to use is shutdown. I think the Chiefs have a couple of guys that are within that range. And when we talk about the Chiefs DBs, I do want to share some stats with everyone because I think that helps illuminate just how good they're playing. This is a matchup that is going to be, I think, maybe not what we've seen in recent years, because Mike Williams is not going to be available. He's been somebody that has attacked the Chiefs well over the last few years. And I think without his presence, it makes me have more confidence what the Chiefs are going to be able to get done. But so do these stats, because this, if I can blow this up so everyone can see it, folks, if you are listening on the audio platforms, we very much appreciate your subscription. But check us out on on video as well as audio here on YouTube, where you can like and sub to this channel, and you'll get all the notifications when you click that bell. We have some stats up here in front of you so that you can see all this.
Look at Kelsey and Jones leading the way.
Well, yeah, hey. When you only play 1 and 2 respective snaps, that's a way to get that done. L'Jarius Sneed leading the DB group here, allowing just 58% completion rate, 18 catches on 31 targets. Josh Williams is right behind him. Obviously, Josh is playing a significantly lower snap count. He's only been targeted 12 times. But then you get to Justin Reed, Mike Edwards, Jalen Watson, all playing significant snaps. That goes a long, long way. Jalen just a little bit less than Joshua. So they're all in that range. Brian Cook, Nick Bolton sticking in there with the DBs. And Trent McDuffie, who I think is having the most impactful game this year, is still a guy that's giving up under 70% completion rate. And that is all to say that this DB group has it going. And they are in a good position to deal with the fact when you don't have the physical, I think, of Mike Williams that can dominate you just at the point of attack. I do feel like it's about how you go approaching defending Keenan Allen in particular and making do with the rest of Palmer and everybody else in Los Angeles that can attack you. I feel like this is probably the best group and the best situation the Chiefs DBs have been in quite a while to combat this offensive group from Los Angeles.
I can't disagree with you on that. I think that it's going to be very telling what the Chiefs are able to do against a guy like Quentin Johnson, who the Chargers drafted in the first round. And he's not playing great so far this year. He's a little bit productive. He's got a little bit of production, but he's not playing great so far for the Chargers. He can't take Mike Williams' spot, and that was never expected to happen this season anyway. And with Williams out, it's really going to give him a lot more snaps, but he's going to be a guy that's going to have to take, time to develop. There you go. There are the stats. 11 total targets?
Right.
44 yards for your first round pick.
And just a 7-yard per average depth of target. Yards per. Let's look at ADOT because I want to know. Okay, it is over 10. I was going to say, like, if you're wasting him at that point and not trying for 10, but only 7 yards per reception on those few targets, he's coming up at over 50%. Josh Palmer about the same. Josh has always been kind of a streaky guy. It really is. It's Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and then maybe somebody else can hurt you. And without Williams, it really is, for me, game planning wise, about taking out Keenan Allen.
I agree with that, but I will say the other thing that you need to watch out for is Parham. Parham is a very good red zone threat, so you need to pay attention for that too. And that's going to be interesting to see who Kansas City puts on him when they get in the red zone, because that is somebody that Herbert has been looking for.
My guess is going to be some combination of Drew and Willie. Maybe they come down in the 3 safety set. That's okay. But like you said, that's a rare occurrence. You got to get into the red zone first. So how do you attack Keenan Allen with this particular group? For me, I don't think this is a week that the Chiefs travel L'Jarius Sneed. He's been doing that some recently. But quite frankly, Keenan can line up outside or inside, and he's going to move it around. You never know where he's going to be. So I'd rather the Chiefs just get comfortable and leave L'Jarius at one spot. You have Trent McDuffie in on the nickel, and I'm super comfortable with that because I think this plays into what the Chiefs do well. If you get really, really tight and you try to press Keenan Allen and he beats you, you're going to get beat badly. If you just kind of stick with him and play man, I think both those corners are able to track him very, very well and just pester him, really.
Scroll over. I'm curious, what is his they'll give you the percentage that he plays in the slot. There you go.
64.
So he's turned into basically their slot receiver.
Yeah.
Kind of surprising a little bit, but it makes a lot of sense because it gives you inside, outside. What was that?
He's so effective at it. Yeah, like it does make sense because he's good at it.
Yeah. And 35% wide. So, I mean, you're in there. It's a decent amount of time. I'm really curious to see how that if that changes in the Kansas City game. I can't imagine it does. But the reality, though, is if they go that way in the Kansas City game, he's going to be lined up on McDuffie most of the time. I don't think that that's a good matchup that they're going to want to try to go after.
I don't either because, I mean, Keenan he's crafty in route running. He's strong in terms of surviving contact, but he's not like the most ankle-breaking, shifty guy. And that's maybe the one thing that maybe in a straight line he still has a little bit, but I agree with you. And so, like, I think that plays into Trent McDuffie's game as well. The one thing that I would say about Trent is that his change of direction isn't uber excellent. He generally has to make up some ground off of a bad or super quick guy that can cut away from him. So this seems like a matchup that's only going to get better for the Chiefs as time goes on. As Keenan Allen gets older, Trent McDuffie gets more experienced.
Well, it's also possible that Allen isn't there next year. The reality of the Chargers salary cap issue is going to be something to watch over the next couple of seasons because they're way over the cap in 24 and 25 and don't have half their team signed for the next couple of seasons. So how they're all in for this year. That's why, when we talk about this game that's going on right now, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but that's why this game is important for Kansas City this next week, obviously. But it's also important for Kansas City to see what happens in this game against the Cowboys. The Cowboys have had a pretty good defense most of the season. Right now, they're holding the Chargers to only 7 points, and it's almost halftime. So we'll see if that continues. But a loss for the Chargers puts them in an even worse spot than they're at right now, and that's positive for Kansas City.
It certainly is. Desperation breeds mistakes, and so, hey, let's let them get there. Now they're going to face a new foe, and we're going to see a new defender for the first time this season. How much we'll see, we'll find out later in the week from Andy Reid. But Charles Omenihu is coming back. What does that do to the defense versus these Los Angeles Chargers? Before we get there, I got to tell you about the easiest way to solve some of my frustrations that you might be into, because whether I'm trying to get to Arrowhead in December, which I am, I will let you guys know when we're going to have something going on, or whether I'm trying to visit some other stadiums around the country for those unique kind of things, sometimes I can't plan it out, and I have to do these last-minute deals. When I do, the only place that helps me get it done the right way so that I know where I'm going, so that I can see the seat that I want, and so that I know that I'm getting a good deal is Game Time. So that's where you guys need to go. If you want last-minute tickets, it is the spot to get all of that done. They have visuals so you can see the seat before you buy it. They put the all-in prices there right up front so you know what you're getting, no hidden fees or anything like that. And they have a Game Time guarantee that they have the best price no matter what. If you find it somewhere else for a better price, for the same row, same section, they're going to give you not only the difference, they're going to give you 110% of that difference. So they'll take all the guesswork out of you getting your tickets. So download that Game Time app and get it in any app store. Create an account and use our code LOCKEDONNFL. That's going to get you $20 off of your first purchase. So it's the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL. LOCKEDON NFL. And once you do that, you get that $20 off. It's Game Time. It's last-minute tickets. It's the lowest price, and it's guaranteed. Now, what's not guaranteed is how many snaps I'm going to see Charles Omenihu for the first week that he's back and ready to roll. But one way or the other, there's going to be a new defender in town. And the Chiefs defense has been outliving most expectations so far this season, even against a foe like Herbert that I think has played well against them in the past, understands who their personnel is for the most part. This is kind of, I think, the lucky side of having to deal with a suspension like this is that there's no film on Omenihu in this defense yet. And Justin Herbert doesn't have anything to study. What he's going to do is bring a boost. How much of a boost, we don't know. It depends on how much he's been training, what kind of shape he's in. If there is a snap count of 15 plays, or if he's only going to rush the passer on third down, or how they're going to divvy this up. But he is another force to be reckoned with on the defensive front that includes not only Chris Jones, who demands double teams. Omenihu will demand some double teams. You have Karlaftis, you have Dana that I think will be the most active out there. You have FAU. They're going to send a fifth blitzer at least a number of times, probably from the safety and the linebacker sides. All this is going to say that you might force them to keep a wide receiver, or more specifically a tight end, in to try to help out a little bit more often. Eckler hasn't been around. The pass rush is the key to this ballgame for me, especially protecting guys that we just talked about in the last segment.
I can't disagree with you on that. The one thing that I'm very excited to see with Omenihu in here is, one, what's the pass rush look like? But what does that do to the back end? What does that give the back end the ability to do? What's that give Spagnuolo the ability to do that changes up the defense a little bit more than what they've already done? Because you're looking at a situation where you have, where you're sending blitzes from, Tranquil or Gay or Bolton at times, or maybe you're even sending one of the DBs. How much does that change when you have a Omenihu back? Do you continue to blitz more with those guys, or do you just go more of your base front and try to stay with your down four being the main guys that are going after the QB? I know Spags is still going to change it up a little bit, but does he do it less because you feel more comfortable? I think that's part of the reason that they've sent some of the safeties and some of the linebackers at times, is because they don't feel comfortable with where their pass rush is. And I get it. They're not quite getting home, but they've been getting pressure. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. And then you're looking at a situation with Justin Herbert. Yeah, he knows the Chiefs defense from the past several seasons, but you're right. He's not going to have any tape on Omenihu. He will have tape on Drew Tranquil, and he'll have tape on Mike Edwards, but is that really going to help him that much? I mean, Spags is still trying to figure out what he's doing with Tranquil. And I guess I shouldn't say what he's doing with Tranquil, but how he's going to use him with Nick Bolton still playing at a high level as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the more intriguing things, given that Drew Tranquil has played for these Chargers before and knows Parham, like you said, who is a red zone target. When it gets into the red zone, that's where I'm really keen to see if they put Tranquil on him because of so many practice reps that he's had in the past. Is that just a foregone conclusion that he's got the best angle on it? He really, I think, are the best to turn and run vertical pass protectors in particular on this Chiefs defense at the second level that would have to deal with that tight end threat. I personally would lean towards Tranquil, but what do you think that does for Herbert in terms of giving him a slight advantage about knowing what Tranquil's weaknesses are?
Well, I think he's going to know what Tranquil's weaknesses are, maybe, but Kansas City is using him differently than what Los Angeles used him.
True.
And that's the big question is, while you do have film of seeing what Tranquil's done in this defense, you don't really have any idea specifically how he's going to be using against the Chargers, because he's being moved around the field so much. He's coming in, coming out for different players at different times and playing different positions. It's not necessarily sure that he's going to be the middle linebacker. He could be coming in for Willie Gay and playing outside linebacker. He could be coming in for Chanel and playing outside linebacker.
Yeah.
However it ends up. And then you add in a guy like Mike Edwards, who is a ball hawk on the back end. I think that's going to be something that I think Kansas City will use. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put a safety on Parham at times, just to take away that feeling. Or, the other reality of it, you showed Keenan Allen's their main target. Well, maybe they double Parham when they get in the red zone. Why not have somebody over the top? If you know that he likes going that direction, you're going to have extra guys that you can go after the different players. And I think that if you're in a situation where McDuffie is on Keenan Allen, I think you have to feel pretty good about where you are there.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. The intriguing thing for me is, what are they going to do when it comes down to those red zone targets for the guys that aren't either Parham or Allen? It was Palmer last year that I think really got Jalen Watson's career off to a great start. Is that something? Does Jalen just have something for the Chargers? That's what I'm questioning. Is like, what's the X factor that we don't really know going into right now that is going to be on the field only that we can't really predict? I think it might be that matchup, to tell you the truth.
Well, I think it was Everett that they were targeting when Watson got that interception.
Was it? There was another play I know on Josh as well. So maybe I had.
I was actually at that game, so I kind of remember that one a little bit. Watson was running directly at me after he intercepted the pass, so that was fun. It's going to be an interesting game because the Chargers are in a situation where they're now 2-2. Kansas City's 5-1. The Chargers have already had their bye week. That's not good for them. This is a team that deals with a ton of injuries, and we'll see if they end up coming out of this game against the Cowboys without problems. But even if they go to the Chiefs game next week with a full roster, the likelihood that they're going to make it through the entire game with a full roster is probably pretty small. Who are they going to lose? That's the big question, is it is every single week, every single time you play them. But they're liable to lose somebody. And when you start looking at the matchups for, the red zone, I guess I'm not going to say that I'm not worried about it, but if you go back, I believe Keenan Allen had 3 touchdowns. Parham had 3 touchdowns. Those are your 2 guys that you have to focus on taking away. If you can, I think if Kansas City allows a guy like Palmer to get a touchdown in the red zone, I don't think they're going to be as upset about it because that's going to be a guy you made them make a play. Herbert's going to make plays. He's a great quarterback. So
True.
You're going to have to live with it sometimes.
That is probably one of the key takeaways, is that you have to give respect where it's due, and there will be some plays that get away from him. We're going to get Matt Derrick's opinion on what those could be and what this defense should look like with the new addition. He's going to be with us tomorrow. Thursday, we're going to get back to finding out the inside information from the opponents, and Friday, we're going to tell you everything you need to know going into that ball game. What else am I forgetting?
You're not forgetting anything, but I'm also very interested to see, Kansas City has been very good at limiting the explosive plays. Herbert is a guy that likes to throw deep. Mm-hmm. That's not, if Kansas City is continuing to play the type of defense they've been playing, that's not something they've given up very much. And I think that actually helps Kansas City in that scenario.
I agree. Let's see what happens. We're going to give you more tomorrow. Thank you, guys. It's been a great start to this week. Obviously, Chargers week is always a lot of fun. We're going to get Matt Derrick's insider review tomorrow from inside the Chiefs facility and get caught up on all the information that the team is putting out there, as well as getting back into the flow of our week. And don't forget, we're here for you 5 days a week. Get on the text line if you want more information on the daily basis. It is 816-357-8781. Like, sub, hit that bell here on YouTube so that you can get all the notifications when we go live. We appreciate you spending your time hard-earned with us, and thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. We'll be back with you tomorrow.